Hi everyone, my name is Niranjana and today I'm going to be giving you a basic overview of what is an MUN. So if you're a person who hasn't heard of the term MUN yet, I'm here to give you a clear-cut overview of the topic. So first of all, what is the full form of MUN? MUN means Model United Nations. So basically, it's a stimulation of the United Nations committees and conferences in the form of a competition for school students and college students. So basically, MUNs are hosted to promote critical thinking, to give students an exposure to international affairs, give them a chance to be real-life diplomats and implement solutions to existing problems in our society right now. So, the process of preparing for an MUN. We basically start a month or 1.5 months before the entire competition begins because there's a lot of research to do. And the amount of research varies according to the committee and the problems that we get. And we're informed of the problems or the agenda of the committee beforehand, like when the registration begins, we'll be already given the problem and our country allotment. So, we have a streamlined process that we use for researching, and we call this the research binder. The research binder includes 4 main things. The first thing is your country policy. So basically, we're going to these committees as a delegate of a specific country. For example, I was in the United Nations Security Council for my last MUN, and my country allotment was Germany. So I had to go to the committee as a delegate of Germany, representing Germany, vying for the rights and interests of Germany in light of the agenda that we got, which was addressing the global trade and tariffs crisis. So I had to speak on my country's stance on the topic of taxes, trade, tariffs, if I support implementing tariffs or not, things like that. The next thing that we include in a research binder is the topic background. Basically the history of the topic, how did it come to be? Addressing the global trade and tariffs crisis. It all happened because of the trade war between US and China. Have there been any other trade wars before? Things like that. So basically the history of the agenda, things that happened in the background. The third thing is past international action on the problem. For example, has there been any United Nations convention or treaty that's already been implemented to address this issue? And if it has already been implemented, what went wrong in the treaty? Why isn't it working? How can we close those loopholes? Things like that are included in the past international action section. And the last and the most important part of a research binder is the solutions. Because the reason why we go to these committees and the MUN is to create solutions for the problem. And in many MUNs, the solutions that we create are actually given to the United Nations. And the United Nations accepts solutions from many MUNs, and they even implement the most efficient ones. So this is an actual opportunity for students to propose their solutions and make the world a better place. So there are a few things that we have to prepare before the committee starts, and these are 2 things. The first thing is called your position paper. A position paper is basically a document stating the general history behind the agenda, your country's stance, and your possible solutions to combat this issue. So it usually runs to about 2 pages, and this document we're asked to submit it like a week before the committee starts, and this is a very important process, and you can only participate for an MUN if you've submitted your position papers. The next thing that we have to prepare is the opening speech, and in formal terms we refer to this as the general speakers list. So it's called as GSL, and GSLs are about 1 minute each. So within that 1 minute we have to make an impact. We have to state our country's policy on the topic and our possible solutions, and we have to invite the other countries in our committee to work forward to implement these solutions. So within that 1 minute, we have to be crisp, we have to present the solutions the most. The solutions part of your speech is the most important one. And of course, like I said, we need to have an impact. So these are the two main things that we have to prepare for an MUN. You cannot go to an MUN without these two things. So, about the things that we do in an MUN, for example, we have a lot of opportunities to speak, and we call these as formal debates or moderated caucuses. Moderated caucuses are basically, they are about 20 minutes long, and we discuss on subtopics related to the main agenda. For example, in addressing the global trade and tariffs crisis, a few subtopics that we chose were how to reform multilateral institutions to promote free trade, how the trade war impacts vulnerable communities, and then how to implement digital trade for transparency, things like that. So each of your speeches are going to be 1 minute. So every speech is going to be crisp and short in MUN, and the total time limit for the moderated caucuses will be 20 minutes or maximum 30 minutes. So 1 minute for each speaker. So a lot of people get a chance to speak. And we have to propose the maximum number of solutions in this limited time. That's the formal debates. Similarly, we have informal debates. Informal debates means that we can actually move out of our seats, we can walk around, and we basically make two different blocks in our committee. For example, US and China, they're trade rivals. So basically there are going to be two groups, one with USA, one with China. And the blocks are going to be made based on your country policy. So US isn't going to be in the same block as China because they're rivals, like that. So we have to know about our allies and enemies in an MUN, and depending on that, we create the blocks. So during the informal debate, we walk around and we create the blocks, and we start discussing the solutions, more solutions on the main topic. So all of the solutions that you present in all of these debates will be compiled together and be presented in the form of a digital document, which is called the resolution, the draft resolution. So basically we write down every single solution that we've discussed so far, and we get around 1 hour to prepare. Each block gets an hour to prepare their resolution, and after the preparation, each block will step up. They will present their resolution, and the opposite blocks can ask you questions. So it's going to be like a Q&A session, and the chairperson who's mediating the committee, they can also ask questions, things like that. And in the end, what we're going to do is we're going to merge both of these draft resolutions together, make quite a big draft resolution after merging both of these together, and then we'll vote. So if the vote becomes successful, like if all the delegates think that this resolution is good, then the resolution is passed and the committee is a success. So that's how basic things in the MUN goes, and these are the basic processes. In some MUNs, there'll be another committee called the International Press, and the press can come into any committee at any time, and they can ask you any questions, take your interview, write articles about your country, and you're obligated to answer each and every one of their questions. So they host press meetings in our committee. So that's a really nice opportunity because you'll get a lot of questions, a lot of opportunity to speak, to state your country policy. So that's a very nice procedure that I've noticed in some MUNs. And yeah, that's basically what we do in an MUN, why we do an MUN, the entire process of MUNing, and the basic overview. So to everyone who's watching this video, if you haven't participated in an MUN before, then please do participate in one, because it's an amazing opportunity for you to showcase your talents as a diplomat. It also gives you exposure, and with each MUN, your confidence level grows. Your knowledge on international affairs also grows. And to people who've already done an MUN before, I encourage you to keep doing more. And eventually MUNing will become a passion for you because it's that much enjoyable. So I hope that everybody takes into MUNing in the future, because it's an absolutely unforgettable experience. Thank you.